In this video, we're going to talk about the cross-chain bridge, the amendment that's up for vote, and how it's going to impact your investment long-term if you hold XRP or issued assets on another network. So what is the cross-chain bridge? Why does it matter? How can you benefit from it? This amendment is up for vote currently. It is XLS 38D is the name of the amendment. It is the X-chain bridge or the cross-chain bridge, which allows for a two-way street between side chains on the XRPL and potentially other blockchains in general with the XRPL. So what it does is it basically allows you to wrap tokens and issue them a representation of that on another network if they're coming off of the XRPL, or vice versa if they're an issued asset on a different blockchain and you wanted to utilize that to transact with XRP and its ecosystem. You could wrap it there and then be able to use it in whatever is developed or for settlement through the XRPL. So why is this a value add? What does it do? It allows for interoperability in the space is really what it comes down to. So there's side chains that have been developed on the XRPL. They're EVM compatible. We've got the Hook side chain, and I'm sure that there will be others that are developed later on that allow for smart contract capability. You might test, and that's what Hooks is. It's a test net, which they have a representation of the XRPL where they have implemented smart contracts native to the network. And then want to make sure that it's not going to break things on the main net before it's deployed, right? So it's kind of a test net for that smart contract protocol to make sure that everything is going to work correctly before it's deployed to the main net. And you could see that in other instances. Maybe people want to, propose an amendment to the XRPL, but they want to showcase that it is sustainable and it's not going to cause huge problems with scalability or settlement times or a bunch of other things. Or maybe it is, but it provides some other functionality that people would like to have, right? And so you need this cross-chain interoperability between the mainnet to be able to settle things and represent them on the public chain versus maybe you have some private permission networks on the side that, people operate within. And that'll be part of it too. There are certain circumstances where people want to connect to the mainnet to have interoperability, but they don't want all of their transactions within their ecosystem disclosed on a public ledger. Which makes sense, right? Maybe you want to be able to operate with another party and need that to be trusted, so you'll transact over the mainnet, but your side chain or private ledger that you work on, you don't want all of those transactions to be public. So this is a huge, huge deal. And really, it's just the underlying collateral that'll be wrapped. So you could take your XRP if you wanted to wrap that as collateral and use it within another smart contract or another ecosystem on another chain. You would lock it on the XRPL. It would be wrapped and escrowed. And then that representation of the ownership of that would be what would be represented on the other chain that you sent it to and had a wrapped XRP on, right? So like Flare Networks is one of the ecosystems where people are kind of familiar with this process where you have XRP. So you're locking your XRP and then they issue a representation of that on that chain so that you can do things with it. And you could have, a circumstance where somebody, wants to use their Bitcoin on the XRPL in some type of protocol, right? Or for settlement reasons or other things, kind of like the Lightning Network, right? So you would lock that Bitcoin in that account, and it would have a representation issued on the XRPL. You could transact with it in that ecosystem, and then whoever ended up with the ownership could exchange it for when they wanted to move back to Bitcoin's network for that Bitcoin. And this has huge implications for, again, broader financial adoption with financial institutions and enterprises, wealth management, broader markets as a whole for the tokenization of real-world assets. And we won't go into depth there. But again, I think that there's a pretty significant use case where people are transacting in private permissioned environments with tokenized securities or commodities or other things in private markets that might want to transact in secondaries on a mainnet or public ledger like the XRPL. And so you're going to need this X-chain bridge amendment to pass in order for those possibilities to exist in the future. This does currently have 12 votes for yes amongst the 37 validators. I believe that they are waiting for an upgrade to the network before they finalize the vote. Hopefully within the next couple of months here. We do see the implementation of this amendment on the network, and we do have the capability to